Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, in the words of Britney Spears, oops, I did it again. Let me tell you how, and more importantly why, I bought a 20-year-old Range Rover. I've recently followed a guy on Instagram who bought a cheap Range Rover. It was quite a neglected example and it had lots of bits of blingy chrome here and there, and he's slowly making it totally original. I love this sort of stuff, so I followed him and I've been watching his progress with interest. Every time he posts a before and after picture, I can't help but think, I fancy having a go at that myself. So, you know what's coming, don't you? Lo and behold, I present to you my late 2002, early 2003 52 reg Range Rover Vogue 4.4 litre V8. I got an email from a YouTube viewer last week asking if I wanted to buy his old Range Rover. He said he didn't need it anymore, he wasn't using it, so he wanted to sell it, but he didn't relish the prospect of all the tyre kickers and time wasters. He knew that I'm a Range Rover addict, so he emailed me. Honestly, I'm like the Battersea Dogs home, but for old Range Rovers. I asked him to send me some photographs, and it looked nice and original. Most Range Rovers of this era are smothered in cheap aftermarket chrome accessories from eBay. Either that or they've got the wrong wheels on, or black wheels, or a 3D reg plate. Most of them are just garbage. So I was really pleasantly surprised with this one. It's almost totally original. I was also pleased to hear that although this isn't my favourite engine, it's the 4.4 litre BMW V8 with, I think it's 272 brake horsepower. In fact, I don't know why I'm trying to play it cool. I know that it's 272 brake horsepower. I'm not a fan of this particular motor because it can suffer with timing chain issues, but again, I was pleased to hear that there weren't any. I was also over the moon to discover that it's still running on petrol. Nobody's LPG converted it. I'm not a big fan of LPG. Most mechanics don't want to work on it, there's nowhere around here that I can buy it anyway, so what's the point? Bear in mind at this point I hadn't actually met the previous owner, it was all done by email, but I could just tell that he was genuine. He genuinely looked after it. And that matters so much with this sort of thing. That's the most important thing, really. He told me that he'd spent a small fortune on it and it had anything it ever needed over the years. I noticed from the photographs that it had 4 matching necks and tyres, the wheels looked alright, and it had loads of service history and both sets of keys. Just looked really honest. Fast forward then to this morning, the previous owner drove it over to the garage for me and I bought it. Before I tell you exactly how much I paid for it, I've got to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark. Now Surfshark are a long-time supporter of the channel, so by checking them out you're actually helping me support the channel. Surfshark are a VPN service provider, so if you want to protect yourself while you're doing online shopping or online banking, then you really need to check them out. It protects all your data and your details, so it keeps you safe while you're online. It also hides your IP address so cyber thieves can't view it. In addition to that, it blocks malware, phishing, ads and other kinds of nastiness, which in turn can speed up your bandwidth and make your device run much more quickly. Since I've been using Surfshark, I've never been hacked into, I've never had my bank account hacked into or my credit card details stolen, so it has worked for me. With Surfshark, you can also change your location settings, so if you frequently use streaming sites such as Netflix, you know sometimes you want to watch your favourite TV show or film but it says it's not available in your region. Well, with Surfshark you can change your location settings so that it thinks you're in that territory, then all of a sudden everything becomes available. You can download the app very easily from the App Store and you can use it on an unlimited number of devices. It's really easy to use. We're all online a huge amount of time these days, you just don't know how much information you're putting out there, especially if you frequently use public Wi-Fi spots such as at fast food restaurants, airports, train stations, that sort of thing. So it's better to protect yourself. If you're interested but you want to get an even better deal, then don't forget to use my promo code HighPeakAutos and you'll get an extra 3 months totally free. I'll leave the link below in the video description, but it's as easy as going to surfshark.deals/HighPeakAutos. It's as easy as that. Anyway, back to the car. So buying an old car like this is about as risky as it gets. I think we all know that, so you do have to be quite switched on about it. There are lots and lots of lemons out there. Now regarding the price, I asked the previous owner how much he wanted for it and he said, well, I'd be quite happy with $1,000 really. So I thought, well, that's just too cheap. I asked him whether the private plate was staying with it and he said, yeah, I've got no use for it. It came with it when I bought it, so you can have it. So I offered him £1,250 and he went with it. Now, I know that sounds ridiculously cheap, but it's such a limited market, this. There aren't many nutters out there who'd want to run around in something like this. A 21-year-old 4.4 litre V8. So it's quite a small club, a club of which I think I'm the honorary president. Anyway, it is a very limited market. I mean, I'll put the question to you then, what is it worth? A couple of grand? I've got no idea really. As nice as it is and it has been maintained well, it does have a few issues, as you'd expect from any 20-year-old car. First and foremost is the air conditioning. It doesn't work. And on a nice 16-degree day like today, it's quite close in here. Feels a bit like being on the tube at rush hour. And quite clammy. The bodywork's okay, so it doesn't need a good buff, but it does need some new reg plates. You might be able to advise me actually. I don't know whether to leave this private plate on or take it off and just have the original number. The old Piffy reg doesn't really mean anything to me, and it might look quite nice with its original 5.2 plate on. The front and back bumpers have been painted before, you can tell. In fact, on the front it started to peel, so one of these days I will get them repainted, but it's not a job I need to tackle straight away. One thing I do need to do straight away is remove the privacy glass. I'm not a big fan of window tints, especially on something like this. I think this would look far nicer and classier without them. What else then? Oh, the BMW era stereo has got a couple of lines through it, so I need to send that off and get that refurbished. The same thing actually happened on my old E46 M3, and I think it cost about 100 quid. You take it out, send it to some company, they refurb it and send it you back. So I'll have to scout round and see who I used last time and see if they're up for the job. I might buy some leather dye for the steering wheel and try and restain it because it's a little bit faded in places, but overall it is in really good shape. The wheel arches aren't rotten, they're all pretty good. It's got a little bit of chrome trim on the back which I need to remove because I don't really like chrome. I think I'll run it to my mechanics and let them just check it over, and while it's up in the air I'll get them to wax oil on the side of it just to protect it. And I think that's... oh, actually one more fault. The powerful mirrors don't work at all, which I think could just be a switch. Now unfortunately it's all part of this master switchboard there, so I'll have to replace that. But again, I'll look on eBay. I can't imagine it being too expensive. And that, I think now, I've said this twice now, but I think that's about it. So let me crack on with the jobs and I'll be in touch shortly. Oh yes, and we're back in the old V8 Vogue. I'm getting to know this car now quite well and I love it. Absolutely love it. Since we last spoke, I've had the window tints removed. I did some of it myself, but my mate Paul from Pro Tints, he came over and did the rest. And I decided to put the original plates on it. So I've taken off the Piffy plate. Piffy! I just thought that private plate cheapened it. I mean, I've got nothing to hide, it's an old car. Why not show its 52 reg? It's actually a January 2003, but on a 52 plate. Now, 02 is when they started making the L322, so it looks like a first model year. It looks so much better with no privacy glass. There's just something about a dark coloured L322 with a light interior with no tints. Just looks really regal, really majestic. I took off the piece of chrome trim off the boot lid and ordered a silver one from Powerful UK. Sadly though, they didn't have one in the same Brunel grey as the badges, so it does stand out a little bit. I might get that painted. Still, it looks better than the chrome. I also ordered a new rear light for it, a new reversing light. I slammed the tailgate shut and noticed the reverse light was broken at the top, so I ordered a new one of those. That was £55 and fitted that. Whilst I was doing that, I noticed that the near side tailgate cable had actually snapped, so I've ordered a new pair of those. I was surprised how cheap they were only 12 quid for a new pair. For now, rather than having it sitting outside the body shop for weeks whilst I find time to paint it, I've instead just touched in the marks. It isn't the best job, but from a distance, looks a whole lot better. We had some BMW black touch-up paint, so I figured that wouldn't be a million miles away from the original Land Rover colour. Don't forget, when this Range Rover was in development, it was still owned by BMW. I've booked in the aircon guy to come out to the garage and top up the gas. I'm not too confident about that though. I've got a feeling it's got a dodgy condenser or a split pipe, but we'll try. I'll try with the gas, and if it all leaks out, then I'll have to correct it. On a day like today though, I really do need some aircon. Driving here with the windows down, sweating. On the bright side though, it means you can hear that V8 engine better. Listen to this. Such a nice noise, that BMW V8. I can't believe how much I love this car. It just feels like a proper classic. And if I continue to drive it sensibly and look after it well, there's no reason it shouldn't last. It's now nicer to drive actually because I'm not looking through purple wrinkly window tints. I still haven't found anybody to repair that sat-nav screen. I'm still looking, but if you know of anybody, let me know in the comments below, or email me, matt@highpeakautos.com. Well, I think, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. I'll leave the link below. If you've got any comments or questions, let me know below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Don't forget to check out Surfshark, and I will see you next time. Cheers guys.